Coming up in Jamaica Magazine today.
All of us are not going to make it, like you say, in Boz, so we have to have something to fall back on.
To boost the revenue collection process, the Revenue Administration Amendment Act was passed to promote compliance in all sectors of the economy through increased access to information.
Those and much more right here in Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for tuning in. Our news package is first. Stick around for that right after this.
The National Council on Education is currently seeking public feedback on the Jamaica Teaching Council JTC bill, which when established will introduce a licensing regime for the teaching profession. The council is now in the final stages of this process. Groups and individuals interested in participating are asked to submit in writing their comments, suggestions and recommendations by the extended deadline of March 31, 2014. Download the full text of the JTC bill from the council's website at www.nce.org.jm and send your written comments to the Executive Director, National Council on Education, 56 Duke Street, Kingston, or by email to nce@nce.org.jm. For further information, telephone 922-8021.
Teacher, show me how to do what I do better.
Good day, I'm Carrie Ann Smith, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, March 26. Jamaica's health and wellness tourism offering is taking off in a big way. Just weeks after announcing Jamaica's first medical tourism facility, a $20 million investment for Montego Bay, Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller has opened the rebranded Eden Gardens Resort and Spa in Kingston. Mr. Simpson Miller says this $550 million Jamaican dollar investment by Professor Henry Lowe at 39 Lady Musgrave Road represents the triumph of Jamaican entrepreneurship and resourcefulness. It will assist the country in tapping into the $40 billion global medical tourism market and the global market for wellness spas, estimated at $6 billion.
We have a well-developed medical infrastructure, world-renowned cadre of nurses and doctors, and have demonstrated expertise in medicine. There's no reason why Jamaica cannot attract significant investments and tourist flow in this area.
The facility utilizes green technology and is an innovative and unique concept in the Caribbean. The Prime Minister has called on more Jamaicans to combine scientific research with entrepreneurial application to grow the private sector and create more jobs.
We see the private sector as our partners in development.
Meanwhile, government expects to issue requests for proposals to prospective local and international bidders later this year as it proceeds with the Public-Private Partnership PPP program for the Norman Manley International Airport. Transport Works and Housing Minister Dr. Omar Davies provided that update to Parliament Tuesday as he reported on the PPP program for the Sangster International Airport.
The government regards the SIA Public-Private Partnership as a successful example of engagement of private capital and expertise in managing a public asset to the mutual benefit of the parties involved.
That partnership, he revealed, has resulted in Sangster being added to the Role of Excellence in 2014 for its level of customer service. It represents feedback from hundreds of passengers who participate in the airport's service quality program that's run by the representative industry body of the world's airports, the Airports Council International. Only 21 airports have been awarded the Role of Excellence since it began in 2011, and Sangster is one of only 6 that will receive the honor this year. In the meantime, Dr. Davies says infrastructural upgrading works continue at the airport.
Discussions are well advanced between the Airports Authority and MBJ for a project to extend the runway by 408 meters. This will enable flights from more distant tourism markets to operate safely and conveniently from Sangster International.
And government's commitment to providing quality beach access for residents and visitors continues to materialize with the rehabilitation of Burwood Beach in Trelawney. The $22 million project is being funded by the Tourism Enhancement Fund, TEF, and should be completed in June. When it's done, Burwood Beach will become a sea park with various amenities for visitors. Meanwhile, the TEF is also partnering with the Agriculture and Fisheries Ministry to renovate the historic parish church in Falmouth. TEF is contributing more than $11.5 million to repair the facade, restore the structural and aesthetic functions of the walls, and address termite and insect issues at the site. The renovation project started in December and is expected to end this November. The Westmoreland Parish Council is to receive 2 ambulances and 2 fire trucks valued at $8 million from the government of Japan. The vehicles are being provided through Japan's grant assistance for grassroots and human security project in partnership with the Society for the Promotion of Japanese Diplomacy. The grant contracts for the provisions of the units were signed on Monday at the Japanese Embassy in Kingston, and the vehicles are due in the island within the next few months.
At the present, we have 2 ambulances in the parish of Westmoreland and 2 fire trucks, which is totally inadequate.
In this year of the 50th anniversary of diplomatic relationship between Japan and Jamaica, we are proud to partner with Jamaican government authorities and people to intensify our work towards Jamaican's socio-economic development programs.
And finally, Prime Minister Portia Simpson-Miller is calling for more strategic partnerships to help the country earn maximum dollars from its cultural and creative industries. She was addressing the first meeting of the National Cultural and Creative Industries Commission on Tuesday. Mrs. Simpson-Miller said Jamaicans were talented people and must find ways to showcase our culture and creativity in the best way possible.
What we need to do is to get it right. And to get it right, there must be a partnership between this area and the government so that we can move things. I look forward to us having the kind of discussion that will lead to us moving this area, that the world will be amazed at what is happening in Jamaica in this area.
The commission was set up to encourage dialogue on policies to move the country's culture forward. It's made up of individuals from the music, fashion, film, small business and other sectors. And that's it for JIS News today. I'm Carrie Ann Smith. Thanks for watching.
Did you know regular physical activity controls your weight, reduces your risk of cardiovascular diseases, reduces your risk for type 2 diabetes and metabolic syndrome, reduces your risk of some cancers, strengthens your bones and muscles, and increases your chance of living longer? Get active, get fit, stay healthy.
When you pay your taxes, the money is used to do some critical things like helping to fix roads. It's your responsibility to make sure they are paid and avoid the penalties. On Monday, we introduced you to some of the elements in government's program to build the economy. Ensuring a modern tax collection system is one of them.
Tax reform is a critical component of the government's economic reform program. The main goals are to simplify the tax system, increase the number of persons who pay taxes, streamline the tax incentive program, as well as to collect money that is due to the government. To boost the revenue collection process, the Revenue Administration Amendment Act was passed to promote compliance in all sectors of the economy through increased access to information. To facilitate the process, it is now mandatory for 3 main categories of persons to electronically file their tax returns: large taxpayers, companies with an annual turnover over $500,000 or more, persons filing a GCT refund return, and employers with 20 or more employees. Self-employed persons have also started to use the new SO3 form to file their tax returns. By using this single form, they can now file their income tax, education, NIS, and NHT taxes all at once on a quarterly basis at the tax office.
There's also the benefit of having not having to pay on a monthly basis in respect of education tax, NIS, and NHT, because what we have done is to make it consistent with the quarterly payment for income tax. So it would be easier for self-employed persons and more beneficial for them in terms of cash flow management.
Tax reform under the government's economic reform program also involves a major change in the tax incentive regime. The idea is to have a rules-based system as opposed to a ministerial discretionary system.
You don't have to apply to the minister for anything. Once you fit within that regime, the incentive is almost automatic. For example, once you're a manufacturer, you're entitled to all the benefits that comes with that.
To support the move, 4 laws referred to as the omnibus legislation have been passed by Parliament.
Objective of the omnibus was to try to put those incentives that are being offered in one piece of legislation. So when you need to invest, you just look directly to that piece of legislation.
The laws also make provisions for tax breaks to be given to the primary inputs to production, those things that are used to produce goods or services. The omnibus legislation, particularly the Fiscal Incentives Act, brings together over 20 pieces of legislation into a single framework which will make it easier for taxes to be administered and understood. Under the Act, unregulated companies and the self-employed individuals now qualify for an employment tax credit once they file and pay their tax returns on time.
And once they have done that, come March 15 of 2015, which is when the income tax annual return is filed for the period relating to 2014, year of assessment 2014, they'll be able to enjoy a credit on those payments that they made for their employment.
And in keeping with the provisions of the Customs and Tariffs Revision Amendment Order Resolution 2013, government has lowered the import duty on specific products.
The legislation brought forward the reduction in import duties for some commodities such as auto parts, jewelry, new tires, televisions above 32 inches and watches.
For example, the import duty on auto parts has been reduced from 40 to 30%. The duty on jewelry, which stood at 50%, now stands at 20%, and new tires, which attracted a 35% duty, now have a rate of 25%. The Charities Act, which was also passed in Parliament, will allow for the registration and regulation of all charitable organizations operating in the country. So the government has been embarking on a number of measures to make Jamaica's tax system simpler and efficient, going for growth, staying the course, and transforming the economy through its economic reform program.
I find out that this program is a very good program because the purpose of this program is to target inner city youths that drop out of school, never get to make much of themselves. So this is like a second chance.
It's a good look and they need to try it. They need to try it because that is the way right now I'm seeing true life. Because going to Angle Gun the other way, it now make no sense. You're gonna die.
What I'd have to say to the younger folks like me in the inner city, I will tell them that young is a dead end, and right now them for leg off of the negative energy and try to make something of themselves, try apply themselves as a better man in society so them can be able to provide for them youths and them family without have to do anything illegal or police have to look for them or nothing like that.
The Citizen Security and Justice Program, CSJP, an initiative of the Ministry of National Security, empowering unattached youth in volatile communities while promoting peace-building initiatives.
The Portia Simpson Miller-led administration has been achieving economic growth and facilitating job creation through some focused actions. One key government body, the Ministry of Science, Technology, Energy and Mining, has recorded initiatives to confirm this.
To facilitate economic growth and create jobs, the Ministry of Science, Technology, Energy and Mining has been putting some important programs into action. These include the trade compensation mechanism of the Petro-Caribbean Agreement, the Rare Earth Pilot Project, and the training of young persons in science and technology. Under the trade compensation mechanism of the Petro-Caribbean Agreement, Jamaica is to supply Venezuela with 100,000 tons of clinker, valued at approximately $8.5 million between December 2013 and April 2014. The clinker is shipped to Venezuela by Carib Cement Company to go towards Jamaica's oil loan under the Petro-Caribbean Agreement. The Jamaican government pays Carib Cement for the shipment, but benefits by helping to stimulate increased local production and job creation. Already, the trade compensation mechanism has allowed Carib Cement to expand its plant and employ more persons.
We now have on a full-time basis 45 women of this constituency who are now employed at Carib Cement. I was just advised that there is a program for the men and that 10 of our men will receive employment as well. So again, 55 persons will be benefited.
The arrangement also opens the door for increased export and trade opportunities for Jamaican products into new markets.
I would like to urge other Jamaican manufacturers to access this trade compensation mechanism so that more Jamaican goods and services will enter the Venezuelan market.
Bauxite is another area that the government is positioning in a strong way to stimulate economic growth and create jobs. Through a relationship forged with the Japanese firm Nippon Light Metal, research is now underway at a newly constructed pilot plant for the extraction of rare earth elements from red mud. This will put Jamaica in the position to produce and export byproducts of bauxite, earning for itself huge foreign exchange.
Rare earth oxides, Mr. Speaker, the commodity that will be extracted, are currently being traded at rates up to 3,500 euros per kilogram. Mr. Speaker, when you compare what we get per ton for our alumina, just about $330, you can see that it is clear that this resource presents an opportunity Jamaica must pursue and which must be managed in such a way that Jamaica and our people benefit significantly.
Already, Jamaican engineers and other workers are employed on this project, and the country stands to benefit from the transfer of the knowledge. Plans for full commercialization of the pilot plant means that these jobs will be secure, and more opportunities should arise with the addition of a new industry.
Today, several industries are critically dependent on the supply and availability of rare earth elements. Chief among them, the electronics and ICT industry.
The plan is not just to extract the oxide and send it away, but to get the value-added products as far down as we can in Jamaica, which would mean more jobs for Jamaicans, more industries, more support services that would support a brand new industry, which would be adjunct to the bauxite and alumina industry.
Therefore, the government of Jamaica perceives the extraction of rare earth elements that are present in Jamaica to be an exciting new opportunity to earn much needed foreign exchange and to create jobs.
The multi-million-dollar rare earth elements extraction pilot project is being spearheaded by the Jamaica Bauxite Institute and the Japanese entity. The training of young minds to create their own jobs, becoming entrepreneurs and contributing to the growth of the economy is a key focus of the Science and Technology Ministry. During the 2013-2014 financial year, the ministry has been holding several training workshops to encourage Jamaicans to draw on their creative gene and come up with innovations that will transform into viable business opportunities. Through initiatives such as Digital Jam 2.0 in 2013 and the current Digital Jam 3.0, persons have been receiving guidance in the development of technical ventures such as mobile apps.
When we looked at where we would focus, we felt that the mobile apps market is a low-hanging fruit and something that in Jamaica, with all the talent that we have, that we could exploit in a way that would provide for these youngsters an opportunity to earn foreign exchange and to build businesses of their own. It's harder, I would say, to track how much money people are making because people tend not to share that information, but certainly we have metrics which indicate that a large number have actually gone online and are using these platforms.
Government is also getting ready to distribute 30,000 tablets in school during the new academic year, which means more young people are being equipped to tap into the huge technological opportunities available globally. The Ministry of Science, Technology, Energy and Mining, facilitating initiatives to create more jobs and contribute to economic growth.
Schoolers, hear this. Competition should make us work harder and be better, and should definitely not cause us to be bitter. So this week, while you or athletes from your school try to run faster, jump higher, throw farther, break records and gain more points than others during champs, remember, keep the peace. Do your best. If you don't win, feel free to congratulate those who did. Celebrate the victories, but be sensitive and don't disrespect others while you're at it. When interacting with supporters from other schools, forget the violence and the harmful words. Remember, sport teaches discipline, dedication, and commitment. Go ahead, showcase your talent, cheer on your school, but do it without malice. Make a commitment today to support Peace for Champs and keep it going even after the event is over.
A message from the Bureau of Gender Affairs and the Dispute Resolution Foundation, paid for by the UN Women Fund for Gender Equality.
Many student athletes tend to neglect their academics, but it pays to have a balance. How do you maintain that? Hear from these students in the upcoming feature.
National hero Norman Washington Manley, Jamaica's first female Olympic gold medalist Dion Hemmings, 100 meters Olympic gold medal winner Shelly Ann Fraser-Price. All these outstanding country folk have something in common. They are all three high achievers in athletics, and more than that, all bright sparks, blazing a trail of managing sports and books, setting an example for future sports stars, showing that acing bookwork while being involved in competitive sport is more than possible. Sport is a big deal in Jamaica, and why not? Ours is a legacy of world-class champions like Usain Bolt, Courtney Walsh and Mike McCallum. But we want more for our pioneering and future sports stars than just fame and trophies. Excellence in all arenas is the end game. That's why two of the island's top universities offer sporting programs at the degree level, and why there's a push to ensure sporting stars excel in schoolwork. As the minister with responsibility for sports puts it, a sportsman or sportswoman is even more undefeatable if they are academically inclined.
Academics is not just about a career choice. It's a learning experience, and it's a lifetime learning experience.
It's not an easy road. How many see the glamour and the glitter, so them think I better rose. Me say, who feels it knows.
Doing well at sports while being a bookworm is not an easy feat. Two of today's stars tell us how they do it.
Well, for the morning part of it, I do morning training at 5:15 in the morning, so I try and get up from 3:30 in the morning and run over some notes. Like if that's the first subject of the morning, I'll try to go over that note, and then I go to training 5:15. and then after training I go to school.
Well, get up 5:15, get ready for school, leave by 6 o'clock, get to school, do some studying at school or finish up some homework, go to a day of school, training, go home, study, go to bed 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the night.
The balance comes with hard work and planning. For these sports enthusiasts who are also academic achievers, while their companions sleep, they're toiling upward throughout the night. The St. Jago High School Reggae Girl sat her 10 external exams in between overseas trips representing Jamaica in international matches. The future physical therapist is labeled as a disciplined student who trains very hard. After producing a commendable performance while playing on the national team, Georgia returned to school, training for the high school girls' football competition, even as she prepared to sit her CAPE exams.
There are a number of colleges and universities, both locally and internationally, that is interested in her overall because of her academics and her performance.
And it seems balancing sports and books reaps similar accolades. The Bridgeport High cross-country runner is a role model at the school. The principal knows his name, and nothing less than greatness is expected of him. Expectations he's willing to fulfill, as he's hoping to continue the juggling act for years to come. Javert wants not one, but 2 careers, to be a physical education teacher and a sports journalist.
He's presently in 6th form and he's doing his CAPE, and hopefully he can do his SAT soon, and then we try to look at scholarship from there for him.
And so, like their forerunners, these 2 represent the future of sports stars who are academic and athletic high achievers.
If school fails, you have football. If football fails, because it's not a sure thing, you have school behind it.
Living in a country like Jamaica where everyone wants to be the next Usain Bolt, I know for sure that all of us are not going to make it like Usain Bolt, so we have to have something to fall back on. If you do even make it like Usain Bolt, you never know when you're going to succumb to injury and cannot run again, so you have to have something else on the side.
There are also some more immediate consequences for ignoring the books. At the 2013 Intersecondary School Sports Association Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Championships, top runners were disqualified from the highly acclaimed competition for below standard academic records.
It also assists in how it is that we present ourselves on the world stage, that we're not only running well, but we're presenting well, and showing that we have the finish, that we are catering to the whole human being, not just the sporting aspect of the individual.
Teachers, parents, and sports coaches are all united to ensure the balance is met.
I commend those students who have found that balance, and oftentimes it's I believe, teachers who show an interest, parents who are involved in their children's lives, who understand, okay, so you would have spent 3 hours training. I'm asking you to give me 1 hour in the books. 3 hours in the books, 1 hour on the field. But just to create a balance.
Born in Jamaica, shout it out loud. And anyway, I go away, I'm the star of any show. I'm bold and clever, and I'm bad.
There's much more information on the web, so log on at jis.gov.jm. Watch all our features at your leisure on the JIS YouTube channel, and we're looking out for your messages, so send us an email or tweet. Tomorrow we open the covers of another edition of the magazine, so tune in for that. Until then, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Have yourselves a wonderful evening.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.